What's up, guys? My name is Justin. Welcome back to the channel today, and we are back to have a discussion. This is gonna bother me. There's like papers where I normally don't have anything, where I normally like put my hands so I don't panic, and I can't today. Anyways, we are gonna have a little discussion about cars. I want to know your thoughts on a number of things. First of all, I'm going to mention a series of cars. I have a big list, some different topics and different things to touch on. But I want any and all thoughts from each of you. I'd love to see a bunch of comments down below, anybody that watches this. Let me know your thoughts. Give me your own thoughts, opinions, advice, input, anything you got. I'd love to hear it. So I'd love to hear about these things, but I'd also love to hear about anything else you can come up with. So anyways, it's no secret that life's been a little bit challenging for me lately. A lot's been going on up in the air. Some things fingers crossed, I'm starting to figure out, move through, move past, and hopefully things are starting to look better. Unfortunately, part of that has been a casualty of having to get rid of Bluey. Not having to, but getting rid of Bluey. Hopefully in the short term, I will have something figured out where I can get back in a fun car. It's not quite so straightforward and going to be an exact science, but I have thoughts, I have plans, and I would love to put something together that makes sense, is the right move, the right decision for me, both personally, financially, decision-makingly, all those things. As you know, it's a big, complicated world out there, and we're all living it for the first time, and so we're all just babies when it comes to this. But I do try to keep in mind that I'm 27, getting towards 28 now that I think about it, but still 27 nonetheless, and so there's still time. There's still time for different experiences, learning, adventuring, fun cars, etc., etc. Hopefully, knock on wood. I don't plan on going anywhere anytime soon, but obviously that plan is God's, not in my control. So anyways, I have a list of cars, as you know, that I've talked about many times. My own cars, own, see, drive list. Obviously, the own list is what we're talking about here today. I have various things on my mind that could be cars that could come next, whether it be short term, like we're talking in the next couple of years, or long term, like before I'm 50, I want X, Y, Z. Again, that's half my life away, or I guess double my life away, to think of it another way. So not going to worry too much about that and the logistics and the theoreticals today, but I want your thoughts. I want your thoughts on cars that you enjoy, you love. Let me know what kind of cars you grew up on, what kind of cars you love, that turn your head when you see them on the street or at a car show or at a racetrack or whatever. What are the cars that you dream of, modern and nostalgic, from your childhood? I want to know what you think of as far as performance, pricing, sound, looks, again, nostalgia, anything that you have passion for cars about. Let me know your thoughts. I'm going to, again, read you a list here shortly. Let me know your thoughts on any of these cars, any other ones you think of, cars that you think would be fun for me to own and drive, knowing what you know about my love of cars and the kind of cars I enjoy and like. Let me know if you would like to see any or some of these or something else as a car that would make an appearance on the channel. I've asked some of my Discord friends this a couple times semi-recently, and they've given me some good feedback, but obviously I'd love to hear more of a wider audience, more people that have interest, more people that have more experience in the real world, and can give me more input, feedback, or just general thoughts. So I'd love to have a big discussion. I can talk about cars all day. So even if you've let me know previously in some other medium, drop a comment down below. Let me know your thoughts about the cars I'm about to read you from this list, your thought process, good, bad, ugly, otherwise. And then, of course, leave a like on this video so I know you enjoy it and know you are supporting it. I'm very thankful for each and every one of you, honestly, from the bottom of my heart. Thank you all so much for the love and support. Could not do this without you. I don't ever want to do this without you. It'd be really boring if I just made a bunch of videos and I was the only one that watched them. So and forever thankful. I mean, I don't know what this is going to spin into in the future someday, but regardless, I am tickled to death and so blessed to have each and every one of you along for the ride. So thank you all so much for that. But anyways, I made a list of cars here, and we'll talk a little bit, very briefly about each of these, but they're not in any particular order. They're just, again, in the order I wrote them down, which could be anything. So the first car you all know, the ZL1. My favorite car, I would venture to guess. I'm trying to think of if I have a better favorite car than the Camaro ZL1 6th Gen. I don't think so. We've tickled. We beat that to death. We beat that drum. We beat that horse. Whatever the saying is, it's like 1 a.m. I'm very tired right now. So we beat that one to death. The ZL1 and my thoughts on it, my love for it. We've talked about how I've said I will mortgage my life and everything else away to have a ZL1 in my life someday, and that still holds true. So we don't have to talk about that one anymore. GT3 RS 991 GT3 RS. We've talked about that one before quite extensively in the past, that being my other kind of unobtainable dream car, at least at this point in my life. Obviously, so is a ZL1, but obviously a $200,000 car is outside my realm of possibility for pricing ever. But again, hopefully someday, maybe someday, that would be incredible, but maybe someday. But the third car I have written down is the SS1LE, obviously kind of the next logical step from my V6 car, Bluey. Would be a V8 car, V8 6th gen Camaro. I love the SS1LE, not just for its looks and kind of the different styling that gets over the normal SS, but some of the track upgrades, the aero upgrades, the aesthetic upgrades, several different things at that car that make it just that little bit better. And for the same reason I went with a V6 and had to have the RS package with the 20-inch wheels and the lip spoiler and all the different things that came with the RS package on the V6 1LT RS Camaro. I feel the same way about the SS1LE. I feel like all those upgrades cumulatively bring that 2% more enjoyment and love for the car. Not that a normal Camaro SS wouldn't be incredible, obviously, but just makes it that little bit more special, a little bit more track ready, a little bit better to look at, and just make you have to turn around in the parking lot, which is all stuff that matters to me. So again, I've asked before plenty of times, let me know your thoughts on the Camaro SS1LE. As an option. I've also looked at the C6 Grand Sport. I know my brother is a huge C6 fan. I love the C6, but it's obviously not the car I grew up with. It's the car that my brother grew up with. Obviously, the C6 came out when I was 7, and ran through when I was 15. So yes, impressionable years, but neither my early driving game years, like we've talked about with Need for Speed stuff, nor my early driving years after I got my license. That was early C7 in that range and stuff. So not really ever a car I've liked more than the C5 or the C7. Obviously the wide body Corvettes, the Grand Sport, Z06, ZR1s are, in my opinion, much more beautiful. They look more aggressive. They look more race ready, which is kind of the point if you're going to get a car like that, in my opinion. And the Grand Sport's that perfect balance of, it's a usable car, being just the LS3, which is probably the most reliable, refined motor that General Motors has ever built. I think people in the Corvette program have said that themselves. But also, again, you get the good styling, good looks. It's a removable hard top, if I remember correctly, on the Grand Sport. The Z06 is not. Interesting fact and tidbit about that. Looks like it is, but it's not. But the Grand Sport is, which obviously, if you're a person that likes top-off cruising and the wind in your hair, or what little hair I have left, I guess that's an appealing thing. So C6 Grand Sport's up there for an opinion. And SS1LE, let's backtrack a little bit. I don't know, let's call it 40 grand. A C6 Grand Sport, roughly the same. They're probably 40 grand. So while a huge amount of money, not so much money that it's out of position for me. I would hope it would be a huge decision, a huge decision to spend $40,000 on a car, especially a second car. We've already seen my green Prius, which at this time is still unnamed and will probably remain unnamed because all the names that people keep suggesting to me are absolutely garbage or ridiculous. So we'll just keep it unnamed. But $40,000 is a lot of money to spend on a car for anybody. But especially a car that's going to be a toy, see limited usage, doesn't have a ton of utility value. Again, at my life, I'm very blessed, very thankful for the position I'm in. But I don't have 40 grand sitting around, certainly not right now. So it's definitely going to be more time, more thought that goes into it, more research needed, a lot of searching, finding the right car if I'm going to spend anywhere near that kind of money. But again, it's not like it's 100 grand. So I don't want to say I can spend 40 grand on a car. I know how that seems. I know how that looks. And I definitely cannot go write a check now for 30 grand, much less 40 grand. But I realize I'm in a very blessed position, not having any student loan debt currently, not having a mortgage or a house or anything like that, not having any credit card debt, and I make okay money at my job. I'm not raking it in by any means, but I can afford to pay for my apartment, pay for groceries, everything without really truly worrying about it month to month, which is a phenomenal position to be in. I'm so lucky and so blessed from that. and so thankful that the people in my life and my family and friends have all supported me financially, not supported me financially, but like supported my financial journey, which I've talked about again before briefly on the channel. Like my dad taught me from a young age about financial responsibility and playing the long game and being a big picture kind of guy, and the value of compound interest and investing and all these things and being wise with your money and don't spend more than you earn and blah, blah, blah. Won't get into that. That's not what this video is about, but that's allowed me to have, it definitely allowed me to buy Bluey because I was in a position where I had no debt at the time when I bought that car. I was still living at my parents' house and had $300 a month of bills, so I could afford that, justify that at the time. It was my only car. That's the only way that I could justify that, was to make it my only car, because I definitely could not afford to have a second car. Now that that's kind of going away, I've had my Prius, I can start looking into a second car, which would be more of a specialized car, more of a toy, more of something that doesn't see inclement weather, salt, obviously, anything like that. If something were to happen to it, I can afford to park it and fix it properly. I don't have to spend money immediately to just make sure it works so I can get to work. I have my Prius for that, and technically vice versa. If something were to happen to the Prius, I'd have a second car, but that's a last case scenario. So anyways, I just wanted to get that out there. So 40 grand is about what a C6 Grand Sport costs. A C5 Corvette, again, we've talked about it. That's kind of my first childhood dream car, just because of the Need for Speed games, really mainly more than anything else. I mean, it was kind of the Corvette of when I was growing up. It was kind of the Corvette when I was a kid. Again, those impressionable early years from like, I don't know, 4 or 5 years old to 10. I mean, again, we talked about the C6 kind of creeping in there at the end, but by that point I'd played Need for Speed and was hooked. I mean, again, we talked about, I started playing Need for Speed in 2002, 2003, maybe 2004, that range, C5. So that was kind of my first childhood dream car. I love that car. You can probably find a nice C5, I would think, for 20 grand, maybe less, maybe like 15, 18, which again, do not get me wrong, that's a ton of money. So any of these cars would need thought into them, especially the ones I'm considering in the short term, which let's call between now and the end of 2026. Essentially, if I can buy something that is a sporty car by the end of 2026, I will be happy with that. That's the goal. It's not going to be tomorrow, but that's the goal. So a nice one of those, let's say it's 20 grand, that's not bad. Another car I want your thoughts on, but is not on the purchase soon list, is the Ferrari 550 Maranello. I love this car. Again, another Need for Speed car that I've talked about a little bit in the past when I talked about my Need for Speed story. But the 550 Maranello is one of those cars that goes underappreciated, I think, because it's a gorgeous car. It was the return to the V12 front engine car that wasn't seen by Ferrari since the Daytona. Came out in, I think, 96 and was made through 02 and was replaced by the 575. But the key being the 550 had the gated manual. It was actually the last Ferrari ever to be only produced with a gated manual. Everything after that, 360, 430, what am I missing? 575 was almost all automatic. They, the first or second generation technically of the flappy paddle F1 gearbox that Ferrari had. 550 Maranello was the last car ever made with all gated manuals. So that's like a $150,000 to $200,000 car. I don't know if anybody else appreciates and loves that car like I do. I mean, most people clamor towards either more modern Ferraris or they're big fans of, the 360, the F430, the mid-engine sports cars, the high-revving cars versus the big kind of luxury cruising front-engine V12 cars. And again, the modern people love the 599 GTO, the Roma if you're new, all that type of stuff. So I don't know how people feel about the 550, but it's a car I definitely love, but not in any danger of being purchased anytime soon. E39 M5, again, is kind of like probably a $35,000 to $45,000 car. I don't know. I'm not a BMW guy. I just, again, love that car from my Need for Speed early years. It's a good car. Seems to be pretty reliable for what it is as a BMW. This is back when the 5 Series wasn't just massive. I mean, the 5 Series size from late 90s, early 2000s is like a 3 Series or 4 Series size today. I mean, it's just cars have gotten so big, so heavy, they packed them full of electronics and gadgets and safety stuff, and it's just absurd. But it's definitely an appealing car because, again, I love it. 400 horsepower is no slouch. It's no joke. It's not meant to be fast. It's meant to be a cruiser and, again, comfortable and a luxury executive car, which is appealing. Obviously, it's not a car you can necessarily just go track, which is part of the consideration for me as someone that, again, loves being at Road America and is hooked after my day with Bluey at Road America. I'm hooked to get back. I desperately want to get back, but there are more important issues to tackle first before that comes to the front of my mind. So let me know your thoughts. E39 M5, love that car. Again, 360 Spider, we just talked about the 550 Maranello. Similar time frame, I just think the 360 Spider is gorgeous. Again, you can find them in gated manuals because I think like 25 or 30% of 360s were gated manuals versus like 3% of every Ferrari that came after that until they stopped making them all together with the 458, if I remember correctly, was the first Ferrari that they didn't offer a stick. So yeah, that's more of like, again, $100,000 to $150,000 car. Again, depending, you can find one with the F1 gearbox for less than 100 for sure, but that kind of defeats the point in my opinion, because the car has got about 400, maybe 420 horsepower if it has some light mods, whatever, but not that fast. It's not a fast car. It was definitely fast for its day, but no faster than like a C5 Corvette Z06 or a 996 911 Turbo, especially anything like that. So definitely a performance car, great sounding car, and obviously gated manuals are pretty special. But not something I'm in any danger of buying. But I'd still love to know how you feel about the 360. Those of you that are younger than me probably prefer the F430 or even the 458 if you're really young. Older people probably prefer, the really old stuff, or a Testarossa, or the F355, which is a beautiful car, but it's not a better car than the 360. I'm sorry, don't spin it any other way. So I'd love to hear what you think about the 360 Spider. Car that is in consideration, back to the ones for the semi-short term. The SN95 Cobra, I'm thinking the facelift SN95, not the facelift, not the new Edge ones, which were 99 through 04, but we're talking the 96 to 98. I think the SN95 was 94, 95, and they updated, facelifted it just a little bit, refreshed it for 96 through 98. Then we had the new Edge from 99 through 04. So yeah, I like the SN95 Cobra. Again, not a fast car. It had like 310 or 320 horsepower, which isn't that much, but it's enough. Again, it's a stick car. I think they look really, really good, honestly. Those Cobras, in my opinion, they look better than the Terminator Cobras, even though the Terminator Cobras look incredible. Again, maybe it's my C5 Z06 bias. I was never a Terminator Cobra guy growing up when I was younger. I respect them and I like them an awful lot, but just purely from looks and purely from my desire to have one, I am more of a SN95, 96 to 98 Cobra guy than I am a Termi Cobra guy. So again, it's in consideration. You can find a nice SN95 Cobra for probably 10 to 15 grand. I mean, they're not that expensive. They do need some work, almost all of them, from suspension updates, maybe some rust issue stuff. Definitely could use some performance upgrades, like in the suspension and some of the bars and stuff that go in them, and linkages and stuff like that can definitely be refreshed, because at this point they're like 30-year-old cars, so definitely not top-notch quality. Again, the drawback of a Mustang of that generation, similar to the Corvette of that generation, the C5, is that the interior is garbage. Plasticky, not comfortable, not high-tech by any means. I mean, there's very little to it, but that's also why they're cheap performance cars. I mean, you're not getting Mercedes level quality, or Lamborghini or Bugatti or whatever. You're getting essentially a C steering wheel, pretty good motor, and that's it. There's not much else to it. But I just think that like custom versions of that car with chrome rims or wheels, I shouldn't say rims, it makes me sound like I'm a tuner guy, which I'm not. I'm not a JDM guy really, but chrome rims on that, a spoiler, maybe a hood with an intake scoop or two, ram air scoops. I just think those cars look really, really good. Obviously, in the perfect world, you could find a Mystic Cobra, I can English. But Mystic Cobras, not only are they very hard to find, they're much more expensive. So I love the SN95 Cobra, but I'm not sure if that is, again, a realistic thing to look for at this point, just because it would require a lot of work and a lot of upkeep compared to something much more modern like a C6 Grand Sport or an SS1LE or something like, or even a C5. Next up, M2 competition. I love the first generation of the M2, the newer one, the kind of facelifted, whatever, the second generation one. I think it's hideous. I think that new BMW design trends are just awful. They're not good. I mean, from the back, it's not bad, but the front just looks horrendous. I cannot get it out of my mind. It makes me want to throw up a little bit in my mouth, to be honest with you. It's just not good. But I love the M2 comp, and especially again, it's like a $40 or maybe $50,000 car. But let's say it's a $40,000 car. I just love it. Even if it was just a normal M2, surely you can find that for 35 to 40. And just, I think it's a good car. It's a perfect size, kind of the spiritual successor to the 1M of like 2011 or whenever that was. I think it's a very pretty car. I think it's a good performance car for BMW. It's a good bargain. I mean, they're not overly heavy. They're not the most powerful things ever. People kind of call them the fake M cars just because of the powertrain, but I think they're good cars. I think that they're very good cars for the money especially, and I think they're going to be more appreciated as time goes on. So again, maybe an M2 comp is out of range, but just a normal M2 would serve the same purpose. But again, do I love that more than my General Motors V8 performance cars? I don't know, but just in consideration. So again, let me know your thoughts on the first generation M2/M2 comp. And then the last kind of maybe short-term, maybe thought process car is the E92 M3. It would have to be a sedan. I've never liked the look of the coupe on that car. It needs the different rear end that the four-door had, the sedan had. I just don't think that the coupe looks quite right. It's just not appealing to me for whatever reason. I've just never fell in love with it. But the sedan looks really, really good. I think it's beautiful. Obviously a great sounding car. The drawback of that powertrain is it's not very torquey. Not the most powerful car ever. Again, it's hard to say that about a car that has more than 400 horsepower that's not powerful. But today, every car and their mother, not a phrase, but whatever. My brother will love that. Not an expression, Justin. Like 400 horsepower became nothing, like overnight. Like in the last 10 years, 400 horsepower, more than 10 years ago, it was like what 600 is today. Like every fast car has to have 600 horsepower. It's not fast, which is ridiculous. Like every car with 400 horsepower is fast. Don't get me wrong, unless it weighs 9,000 pounds or something. But it's just it boggles my mind that people think like, again, like an M2 or an E92 M3 or a Camaro SS or even a C5 Corvette with 350 horsepower. Like that's a fast car because it weighs 3,100 pounds, and people that think otherwise are crazy. Bluey's a fast car. He has 335 horsepower at 3,400 pounds, 3,500 pounds, somewhere in there. Not a fast car. I mean, I consider anything faster than Bluey to be fast. Like it's a fast car. And so you can get yourself in trouble if you don't know what you're doing or you're not paying attention, whatever, for sure. So E92 M3, I love it. It's a pretty car. Again, not exactly a track-ready car. It's not the kind of thing you just get in and just throw around immediately. It's not a light car, not a track-focused car, but definitely a performance car. I think it looks great, sounds incredible. That sound is just phenomenal, really, really incredible. And obviously a pretty reliable car for 15, 20-year-old pushing BMW, especially in them cars. So curious about your thoughts on the 92 M3. That's pretty much the extent of the list for stuff in consideration now. Other stuff that I'd just like your thoughts on. The newest generation, what's that, the 5th gen, 6th gen? I don't know what generation they were on for the newest Viper, but the Viper ACR, that's kind of up there. I consider that, I've talked about this a little bit. I don't really talk about Vipers as much because they've never really been my kind of thing, but I've talked before about the C7 ZR1, which is also on here, which we'll talk about in a sec. C7 ZR1 and kind of my appeal with that car, but the issues with the A8 transmission, the C7 ZR1, and the Viper obviously being a stick doesn't have that. So, a Viper ACR is $250,000, at least 200. There's probably some higher mileage ones that aren't, special paint colors and stuff with low mileage. There's probably some available for 175 to 200, which again, ton of money, no position to buy it, not even in consideration. It's not close. I'm not even a tenth of the way there, really. But just want your thoughts on the Viper ACR. Again, we've talked about the Diablo 6.0 a million times. That's an $800,000 car. I love it. Probably nobody else does. C701, just talked about it. Love the car. Every time I think I'm just going to say, no, I don't want it. No, I'm not interested. I'll stick with my Camaros, blah, blah, blah. I go, but what about C7ZR1? Like, I know that it's not going to be fast in hindsight now that the C8 ZR1 and ZR1X have been announced and are going to be hitting showrooms and streets soon. C7ZR1 is going to be a thing of the past, but just that car, front engine, the last craziest, greatest front engine Corvette. I don't know, because that car, I don't know. We'll leave it at that. Let me know your thoughts on C7ZR1 as well. Cayman GT4S RS. It's kind of like it's a Cayman, but it's a baby 911. It's got a similar package, not the same package, but a similar power plant to the 991 GT3. Again, phenomenal car. Sounds great. They finally went ahead and put a true GT3 motor in that car, and it sings. The induction noise of that car on video is incredible. I hope to hear it in person someday because it sings. It sounds phenomenal. And they're a little bit cheaper than most 991 GT3s, the exception pretty much being the 991.1 GT3, obviously the ones that had the finger follower issue and were automatic only. All the RS cars are PDK automatic only, so you can only get a 4RS in PDK. But it's, I don't know, they're probably $175,000 to $200,000 cars, which is really, really appealing. But again, for that kind of money, you're looking at, we've talked about it a million times, you're looking at 991.1 GT3 RS, and they make that in ultraviolet, and that is the car for me. So GT4 RS is what it is. It's mid-engine, so in theory it should handle a little better, but it doesn't quite have as complicated and sophisticated of suspension, especially on the rear end as the 991 GT3. So, you know, again, money no object, obviously unlimited cash, duh, you have one of each and pick your poison. But I don't know how I feel about the GT4 RS. I love it. I love seeing them. I get to see them in person on the highway or at the racetrack or whatever, but who knows. And 992 Turbo S, we've talked about this a little bit. The biggest thing for that, I love you know, the thought of a 3-second 0 to 60 car and just scaring the bejesus out of the people that you're riding with. Kind of what the GTR was 10 or 15 years ago is what the 992 Turbo S is now. Love it. Again, would I get bored of it, or is it too kind of boring of a car, just kind of being turbocharged and not, you know, in your face, rah, 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 extravagant? Would I get bored of that? Maybe. Again, no position. It's a $250,000 car, but still love your thoughts if you think the 911 Turbo is boring. A lot of people tend to think that the older turbos, you know, 996, 997 are great, but the 991, 992 are too you know, analytical, too perfect, too boring. I'd love to know your thoughts. Last car we'll talk about, GT500, the newest Mustang. I love it. It's brute. It's fast. That's another one that's kind of the alternative to the C701. Not nearly as fast, not nearly as crazy performance oriented. Still very extreme, 760 horsepower, which is actually 5 more than the C701, but obviously significantly heavier. Again, double clutch 7-speed transmission. Great car, incredible car. So again, maybe someday they're probably 90 to 100 grand. Will probably go down a little bit as they age, just because they're special, but not so special. They made quite a lot of them actually for what they are. But let me know your thoughts. GT500. Only car I didn't mention in here that I mentioned before is the McLaren car. Anything that has the what am I thinking? The butterfly doors. I just love. I love the thought of that and the theory of having that, because again, that's kind of the fuck you, show off car, you know, made it through life. CS said I couldn't do it, but I'm going to do it. But that's, I've put all my eggs in that basket, being 991.1 GT3 RS and ultraviolet. I mean, if I make it someday, whatever make it means, again, with funding or life position or whatever happens in life, we never know. And again, God forbid I am able to make it to that point. I'd be very blessed and very thankful to do such a thing. If I make it to that point, it's going to be Porsche. It's going to be 991.1 GT3 RS. There's no substitute. There's no comparison. I don't care. So, didn't bring up any McLarens. If you're a McLaren fan, I'm sorry. Again, let me know your thoughts. But just kind of realized that I was shooting the shallow shot there doing that instead of aiming for what I actually really, really am passionate about and love. So, didn't want to be shallow about it, and so changed my mind about that. Again, it could change back any day. I tend to do that. That's what car guys do. We have definitely, you know, we turn our attention every other day shopping for something different or something that catches your eye. So, named off, I don't know, 15, 18 cars there. Let me know your thoughts on each and every one of those. Again, the things I talked about: performance, price, sound, looks, nostalgia, what you love, what you turn your head at, what you dream of. Let me know your thoughts, any and all of them. Anything else you got? If you got some other car that you like, love, you know, would like to see me have, we named a couple again that are feasible. Again, fingers crossed, knock on wood, that I can continue to be successful in life, not have any hiccups, be very, very blessed with the position I'm in, and maybe in the next year or so, year and a bit, can make something happen and hopefully have a nice, beautiful new toy to show and share with you guys. But in the meantime, let me know your thoughts and let me know what you'd like to see, and I look forward to hearing it and having a conversation. So appreciate you all so much. Till next time, as always, bye.